Good morning. Today's adventure is brought to you by the great state of New York. Where am I in New York? Well, I'm in upstate New York, in the Keene Valley, right outside Lake Placid. I'm vacationing in the beautiful mountain range of the Adirondacks. As a quick aside, the word vacation actually originates from this area. True story. Back in the Industrial Revolution, all the cattle hands, ranchers, farmers, they all moved to major metropolitan areas because that's where the money and that's where the jobs were, mainly New York City. Well, after living such a rural lifestyle and changing over to an urban environment, they kind of grew tired of that hustle and bustle, and they wanted to vacate from that way of living and reconnect with their nature roots. So they would vacate the city and go up to Lake George, go up to Lake Placid, and go back to country life. I found that to be pretty interesting. But yeah, the Adirondacks. This place was named by the Mohawk Indian tribe. That was the Native American people that lived here before the white man genocide. And they named this area Adironda. And throughout the years, it evolved to Adirondack. Adironda loosely translates in their language to, you ready for this? The place that swallows the trees. It's pretty ominous sounding, right? A little bit spooky. Sounds like something Stephen King would write about. Definitely not a place you would want to vacate to, but hey, here we are. Also in the Mohawk language, Adironda loosely translates to porcupine. So I don't know if this area is crawling with porcupines or not. I hope so. That'd be pretty cool to see. But what I do know about porcupines is they do like to eat tree bark. So the place that swallows the trees, eating tree bark. It's not a strong correlation there, but I can see how a primitive language could connect those dots. And when I say primitive language, I mean nothing but the utmost respect for the Native American people. I got nothing but admiration for their heritage, their culture, their traditions, especially their legends. If you guys ever want to go down a creepy rabbit hole, go ahead and Google the Wendigo or the Skinwalkers. It's pretty creepy, pretty fascinating. But I digress. We're not here to talk about cryptozoology or entomology. We're here to talk about hiking. And hopefully I got a good one for you today, guys. We are climbing Mount Colden. Mount Colden is number 11 on the Adirondack 46. What is the Adirondack 46? Well, if you watch my other videos, you would hear me briefly talk about the New Hampshire 48. That is the 48 peaks in New Hampshire that are over 4,000 feet elevation. A lot of people in the area, they take it as a personal conquest in themselves to go ahead and try to summit all 48 of those peaks. The Adirondack folks, they got the same thing. There's not 48, there's 46 of them out here. And they're not regulated to 4,000 feet in the Adirondacks. There's a couple of them that are just shy of 4,000 feet. I believe 5 of them or so, but close enough. Mount Colden is going to be number 11 on that list. Mount Marcy is number 1. We should be seeing her when we get to the summit of Colden. I'll try, if I remember, to point her out to you. Right now we are coming across an area called Marcy Dam. Marcy Dam is not in use anymore, as you can see, and there's a reason for that. That's because back in the day, Hurricane Irene came in here and totally changed the landscape. You can see all those slides. The slides are pointed out by the Bear Mountain part. Irene came in and the storm just ripped up all those roots right off the mountain and down they went. So permanently changed the landscape up here and swept out this dam. But still very pretty. This is going to be a little bit longer of a hike than I typically do. I think it's going to be 12 to 13 miles, but it's not much elevation gain. Colden is only about 47 feet, no, 4,700 feet in elevation. So it's mostly just a lot of hiking to get to where I got to go and then climbing up. So enough blabbling along, and let's start hitting the trail, and I'll check in with you guys when I get to something interesting. So I'm about 4 miles in on the trail here, which means I'm about 4 miles away from civilization. So you gotta love that. We're at a part on this trail called Avalanche Pass, and I pointed out those slides in the earlier part of the trail coming off the mountain. Well, those slides are basically formed by an avalanche. And so this was an area where everything on that side of the mountain came tumbling down into this area, hence the name Avalanche Pass. According to the rangers and the lodge where I started, this place is just crawling with black bear. Frankly, I can't say I blame them. If I was a apex predator like a black bear, I'd probably move in too. This place is gorgeous. So, little known fact, or maybe it's just a little known fact for me, and I find this to be probably going to be the fact of the day here. The Adirondacks are the only mountain range in the Northeast that are not part of Appalachia. I had no idea. You got the White Mountains, you got the Green Mountains, you got the Berkshires, you got the Catskills, and even if you dip down into Pennsylvania, you got the Poconos. All of them are part of little juts off of Appalachia, but not the Adirondacks. Adirondacks are formed from their own glaciation event. Yeah, that's a word. Look it up. They are a younger mountain range than Appalachia, but from what I read, the rocks here are some of the oldest rocks known on Earth, dating back billions of years. I'm not sure how they measure that kind of stuff, but I found it to be pretty wild to know. So really, really, really old rocks, but kind of new mountain range. And believe it or not, these mountains are actually still growing. So a couple of those Adirondacks 46 that are still under 4,000 feet, who knows? They might one day get over 4,000 feet and become part of the big boys. But like I said, it's just been a lot of flat walking so far. Just again getting to where I got to go. We did a little bit of elevation gain, but nothing too noteworthy. Just enough to get me warmed up for the good stuff. It's been quite the beautiful trail so far, though. It's been really difficult to make any mistakes because you can't really go anywhere but the trail itself. And as you can see, tell you what, guys, if you're a fan of hiking, come hike in New York, because you got nothing but walkways. There's a gully, yeah, they'll build you a bridge. I feel so pampered out here. My last vacation, I was in the White Mountains, and you know, climbing out there, you got a big boulder in your way. Well, guess what? You're climbing over the boulder. You're going into the gully if there's a gully in your path. Not here. They'll build you a bridge, it seems like. They'll build you stairs to get over rocks. So again, it's like lazy man's hiking. Oh look, another bridge. But I'm sure and I'm hoping that we make up for that once we get to Mount Colden. I specifically picked Mount Colden because I think we're going to have a pretty interesting trail that we're going to get to ascend. So stay tuned. Well, if I'm not mistaken, that's my mountain, Mount Colden. Right here, this is called Avalanche Lake, and it definitely lives up to its moniker. It is heart-stoppingly cold water. I think they said the average temperature is something in the mid-50s or so. That's pretty cold. Don't want to go swimming. But we got to get across it somehow. And hey, wouldn't you know, they made us a bridge. With a tiny jump. No problem. Pretty wild. Well, you can go up the rocks or that nice ladder. I don't want to make these people make this ladder for nothing, so. Oh yeah, beautiful. Nothing to it. Hey, when one ladder's not good enough, you get two. Alright, big jump. It's quite the view. It's quite the cliff face on Colden too. Speaking of pampering, but I gotta say I embrace this one because there's no other way to the other side other than on these things. These things are colloquially called hitch-up Matildas. There's a story behind that, but it's rather silly. It's not even worth repeating, so just some useless knowledge for you guys. Hitch-up Matildas. Hey, looks like some people are having some rock climbing fun. Super cool. So, like I said, we're doing Mount Colden. There are 3 ways up Mount Colden. Well, there's really multiple ways up Mount Colden, depending if you want to bushwhack, but there's 3 known routes up Mount Colden. 2 official and 1 unofficial. We are going to be going up the unofficial route because it sounds a lot more interesting, like I said. That route is called the Mount Colden Trap Dike. And just so you know, a dike in mountaineering terms is a part of a mountain where you have 2 different types of rocks that are next to each other, and one rock is going to be a lot harder than the other rock. So the harder rock keeps growing and it cuts into the softer rock, creating a gully of sorts, a dike if you will, that just cuts right through the mountain. So people have found this dike and said, hey, let's see if we can get to the top of it, and bam, a new trail is formed. Let's see if we can get to a lookout here. So if you look there and you look up through there, there's a fissure in that mountain. That's a dike right there. Colden actually has 2 dikes. This one, the only way you can get to that one is if you swim across Avalanche Lake, which is what I do not want to do. And again, that one is colloquially known as Adirondacks. Very clever, guys, very clever. I'm not sure. That might be my trail. That might be the trap dike right there. Like I said, it's an unofficial route up the mountain, because unofficial as in there are no trail markers. So you have to do a little bit of bushwhacking through there to get there, if that's where we're going. It rained yesterday. No, scratch that. It poured yesterday, which makes it nice and cool today, but definitely fed that waterfall, which, as you can see, is a good portion of the trail up the dike. So that should make things a little bit interesting, but that's why we do interesting trails. Alright, found my trail. Like I said, this is an unofficial way, so a couple people took it upon themselves to go ahead and bushwhack their way through here, and at this point enough people have gone through here that it's somewhat of a legit path, albeit a little bit overgrown. They actually got a name for these things, these unofficial trails. They call them herd paths, which, I don't know, definitely it's the path least taken, so I wouldn't call it many herds going through here, but whatever, at least it's a path. So you can see we're on the other side of Avalanche Lake now, and we just gotta bushwhack our way through. Looks like I'm gonna get a little wet and get to the dike. So I'm at the foot of the trap dike, just bushwhacked through the herd path to get here. I thought I was going the right way, and then I saw a trail a couple feet down on the path below me that was perfectly blazed, so I did a little bushwhacking myself unnecessarily. But I'm here, and before I get going, just want to take a little break and charge up with some food beforehand. I don't know if you can see it, but on that hitch up Matilda over there, we saw the rope hanging down. These guys are about to start scaling that wall, so that's kind of cool. What isn't cool is on my herd path, I got to a situation where I had to step in the water. I took one shoe off, threw it across because I knew my one foot was going to get wet. So let me just, you know, I'll just throw the shoe across and everything will be fine. Well, the shoe I kept on ended up getting the one that was totally dunked in the water and totally saturated. So trying to dry off as much as I can in my 5-minute break here. But here is the foot of the trap dike. That's what we get to climb today. Looks like I'm the only one here. That's always fun. And again, it poured yesterday, so part of my path is going to be wet. I'm not too upset that my shoe got soaked in the water of Avalanche Lake, because it's probably going to get wet here anyway. So just got wet about 20 minutes earlier than I anticipated. But I think this is something like 2,000 feet elevation just in the dike, and that spits you out onto one of those slides that I talked about earlier, and then we take the slide all the way to the summit, and that should be a heck of a lot of fun. Well, let's get the fun started. So, like I said, this is Colden Trap Dike. We're going to take this all the way to the slide and then to the summit. The trap dike itself gets to, it's mostly level 3 hiking, as you can see, but there is one section that dips into a 4. There was earlier, pre-Irene, a section where a lot of people, they would get turned around on the dike and they would exit the dike onto the slide earlier than they should have, and that would be hitting some level 5 hiking, which isn't hiking, that's low-level mountain climbing. But I was told by the ranger at the Adirondacks Lodge that Irene kind of destroyed an area, so it's not very, you won't be exiting that area. It's pretty evident that that's not the place to go. So that's a good thing. We don't want to be hitting any 5s. I don't have any ropes or helmets. But so much water. That rain yesterday is definitely going to add to the challenge. But that's why we do these things. Hope I'm not screaming at the video here, but I feel like I need to talk louder because the water seems to be really loud. As you can see, there's steps everywhere. It's just like climbing up nature's stairwell. Just got to pick your route wisely. Speaking of which, you're not going to see any trail markers around here. Like I said, this is an unofficial route up, so there are no trail markers. So the path you choose, well, when I was a kid, it reminds me of those choose your own adventure books I used to read, where there's really no right or wrong answer. I'm sure that's not true. I'm sure there's certainly going to be a wrong answer if I get myself into a dangerous situation. That's not what we're going to do today. One thing I need to be careful of is a lot of these rocks are loose, so we don't want to be trusting something with all of our body weight just to have it let go on us. This is the stuff I want to avoid, but I don't know if we'll be able to. Big jump! Whoa! Alright. Yeah, it's a little quieter over here. Grab what to grab. Fun. All right. Looks like this is, I'm gonna have to get a little wet. Ah, it sucks. I'm gonna grab onto this guy. What's my best approach here? This is slick. Shit, I don't know what to do. I have to cross over. I gotta cross over there. No other choice. right. Remember how I was a little upset I got my shoe wet? My boot? Well, kind of pales in comparison to what I just went through. My whole left side of my body is soaked. Oh, quick. Tough to grab on. I don't know what to do. Let's get them going. There we go. There we go. All right. Whew. That was not ideal. Oh man. I hope it's not worse than that. Man, what the hell was I supposed to do? Maybe go up that way. Son of a gun. Wow. Well, let's hope up there isn't as bad. I don't want to do anything worse than I just did. So let's catch our bearings. So this is pretty slow going because you really got to be strategic in how you get up here. I'm at the point now where I'm gonna get wet. No way around that. I just hope these slabs aren't as slick as they look. That's probably going to be the best route. Follow that crack into that dry spot and then circle on up to the stay to the right. Alright. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and put my waterproof case on for this. probably a lot of fun when it's dry. But I fear it's lost a lot of its fun factor after this rain yesterday. Good. Oh my gosh, I'm shaking so bad. Oh man. Oh, son of a bitch. Oh, thank you, Mr. Tree, for existing. Boy, I hope I'm almost done. I want nothing but a slide right now. Holy shit. Step there, what am I grabbing on? I can step there and grab on it. That's a better. I'm in the scrub. That is a-okay. I want nothing more than to be in the scrub right now. Because the scrub means handholds. Oh man, handholds are breaking. Oh boy. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful avalanche lake. I am so glad I'm done that. Holy shit. Okay, so thankfully I am back on somewhat solid ground, and I am incredibly thankful for that. I'm still shaking. I'm working on nothing but adrenaline right now because that was insane. Wow. You know, I come up here to scratch that adrenaline itch, but I think I bit off way more than I could chew with that one. That was, let me tell you, if it didn't rain yesterday, that would have been one of the most fun hikes I've ever did. Because of the rain yesterday, that was, oh my gosh, that was so scary. That was scary and challenging, and this water is just relentless. I took a shower in it. It's a little salty if anyone wants to know what it tastes like, because it got all over me. But it really appears that the worst of it's over. The ranger said going up the waterfall is rated class 4. That had to have been the class 4 right there. That was insane. I don't know if it's going to get any worse. I hope not. I'm good with 3s and 2s from here on out. Whew, that was something else. Wow. Check out that range. That right there, that's the it's called the McIntyre range. You got Mount Algonquin, Mount Iroquois, Mount Wright. I don't know which is which. So, but those are there right there. Good looking range, opposite Colden here. But let's push forward, because after this we still got a lengthy slide to maneuver up before we get to the summit. Honestly, I think the worst of it's done by now. I probably won't even need the headgear much any longer. Man, but I'm still shaking. My feet, my hands. Whew. That was insane. Good stuff, Colden. Good stuff, buddy. All right, looks like we're at the end of the dike. And here we go for the slides. Go ahead and take this off. So now we got to go up these slides straight toward the summit. I don't think we're very close to the summit. I heard these slides actually take forever. They're a real calf burner. As you can see, it's a pretty unforgiving angle here. But after that waterfall, I feel like I could do Everest. So this should be pretty doable. Alright, let's attack. Just catch my breath on the slab, taking in the views. It's something else. The slab is pretty relentless, and you can see behind me, you still have a ways to go. The wind's picking up, soaking wet, so it gives me a little bit cold. But check it out, look at this thing. Look at the rock itself. It's all pitted and scarred like a 14-year-old boy's face, which that's a gift from the mountain gods, because it gives me really great traction. And after getting my boots saturated in that waterfall, this is quite nice to deal with. In fact, it actually reminds me a lot of when I went climbing in when I lived in Okinawa. That whole island is a coral reef pretty much, and it's again, it's pitted like a coral would be, so it makes climbing pretty sticky, which is what we want right now. Alright, let's make it to the summit and be done with this. A little bit better of the view. Still stuck on the slide. Pretty crazy. You can see there's mud patches here, dirt patches. Like I mentioned prior, Irene really did a number on the ranges out here, and at one point this was all vegetative state, just like you see on both sides of us, but during the storm just wiped it all away, and all you got left are these pockets of dirt. This slide sucks, by the way. This is the most relentless slide I've ever done. I've done a couple so far, and this just, every time I look up, it seems like it's just going further and further away. But let's get to the top and be done with this. Well, we made it to the top. There's the view, guys. People don't realize how big the Adirondacks are. This place is humongous. I don't think people realize how big the Adirondacks are. What I read was it's 3 times the size of Yellowstone National Park. And believe it or not, 2 times as many people visit here to vacate than they do the Grand Canyon. It's pretty crazy. Out in the distance there, you can see Lake Placid. Those 2 white tall towers off in the distance there before Lake Placid. Lake Placid is known for holding the 1980 Winter Olympics. Those 2 white towers are the ski jumps. They're still up. I believe they're still in use. But we are officially on our descent. Thank goodness. Jumping in mud doesn't matter. I'm already saturated from that waterfall. So, gonna make our way down. Gonna get through this little cave first. Very wet cave. I should be used to the wetness by now. So it's a 12-mile hike. It took 6 miles to get up here. So simple math tells me I got 6 miles to get to the bottom. Not sure how long that's gonna take me. My warden is gonna pick me up around 3:30. She only gave me 7 hours to do a 12-mile hike, so hopefully I can make some good time on the return trip. I took a little too many breaks on the slide there. That was just ridiculously relentless. My calves were burning. So now I got to make up some time getting back. Because again, my ride's picking me up shortly. So reminds me of a poem. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep. Miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. There's some Robert Frost for you nerds out there. That's very reminiscent of what I'm dealing with right now. So let's stop the talking, get to hiking, and get back to the lodge. So I'm making my way back to the lodge, to the start and the end point. Not quite there yet, but almost. Just wanted to give a little retrospective on the trap dike itself. It was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. But holy crap, that was dangerous. Probably should not have continued the climb, but I kind of got myself in a situation where I thought it'd be too dangerous to go back down, but it was a little bit more dangerous to go back up. So, in retrospect, yeah, I probably should have turned around. But you know what? I say that about all these hikes that I do. I said that about Huntington Ravine up in Mount Washington. I said that about the Precipice Trail in Acadia. Who knows? When you get in the thick of it, it's hard to determine what's safe. Hey, Pooch. Hey, bye. Having a good day, huh? How you doing?
Doing all right with you.
All right. Hey, 2 dogs. What a treat. Hi, pal.
How are you?
All right. So that's all I have to say about that. I think I only got maybe a 1/4 mile left. I hope. Like I said, this is a little bit longer than what I typically like to do. I like to stay in the single digits, and 12 miles is it's a bit of a challenge, especially after that a stupid slide. Man, that really sapped a lot of energy out of me. Like I said, only another 1/4 mile to go, and I will check back in after I register out, wrap this up, be done with it. Okay, we are done, sir, done. So the final numbers, if you're into that sort of thing, was 12.1 miles with a total time of 6.5 hours and a moving time of 5 hours and 40 minutes. So it took about 50 minutes worth of breaks. Honestly, I'm surprised it's that low, to be honest with you. I must have stopped 10 times on the slide itself. That sapped my energy big time. Interesting, the slide sapped my physical energy, and the trap dike sapped my mental energy. But hey, we are all through. I don't think the Adirondacks get the respect that they deserve. I hardly ever hear about them, and they're absolutely gorgeous. So if you're ever in upstate New York, come check out some beautiful mountain ranges on the Adirondacks. And if you ever want a challenge, come do the Mount Colden via the trap dike. Just don't do it after a storm, because that's very dangerous. All right, I'm checking out. Be awesome to each other and don't litter.